Morning, everyone. Welcome to the Ulster County Industrial Development Agency Audit Committee meeting. Of the order, and it looks like it's about 9:10. So we start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mission statement of the Ulster County Industrial Development Agency is to advance job opportunities, general prosperity, and long-term economic vitality of Ulster County residents by targeting tax incentives, bonding, other assistance to foster creation and attraction of new businesses, and the retention and expansion of existing businesses. All right, roll call. Michael Dan.
We have the wrong roll call.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
Who's on this committee? It's me.
Rachel.
Rachel.
And
Rachel's here.
and Joe.
And Joe's absent. Joe is absent. Approval of the minutes.
And we don't have.
We have no minutes, so we don't have to approve anything. Public comment, agenda items only. Public comment. Okay. Executive session is not necessary. Old business, we have no old business. Any old business? No old business. New business. We have the draft audited financial statements from PKF Connor Davies. Please, go on.
Thank you so much.
Want me doing one by one?
Yeah, but no. Do you need one?
You take three.
My name is Melissa Zahn. I was the engagement partner on the IPA external audit. What I've done for you is prepared a PowerPoint slide. So we'll go over that first, and then we'll go over the management other later. So today we're just going to talk about some required communications and then a summary of the results of the IPA. So management and trend of governance has certain responsibilities as part of this external audit process. Accounting policies, making sure that you're selecting appropriate accounting policies and underlying. The financial statements, which you have drafted here, ensuring that they are fairly presented for the United States general accepted accounting principles. Internal controls, extremely important in any organization, so making sure that you're establishing those controls and then doing a periodic review to ensure the control. Compliance with all laws and regulations. And then us as your external auditors, we do request as independent audit items part of the process, just making sure that we are provided with everything. I just want to give a big thank you to Hillary and for all of their hard work in this process. Slide 4, we have certain responsibilities as well as part of this process. We are required to form and express an opinion of the independent auditor's opinion. We do anticipate issuing an unmodified opinion. That's also referred to as the clean opinion. It is the best opinion that could receive that agency. We do issue a yellow book report, which is a report on controls, and then an investment report. We have issued a management letter, which includes information on best practices or any other deficiencies. We do review those accounting policies to make sure they're appropriate. If there were any fraud or illegal acts, we would have notified you prior to today, so we're happy to report that they were done. And then we did not encounter any difficulties as part of this audit. There were no uncorrected misstatements, no disagreements with management, and as always, we are required to maintain independence, so we are not fully related. So let's go into the numbers on slide 5. The columns represented here, you have your original budget column set with the budget that was originally adopted. Your final budget would include budget transfers for amendments, which there were none. You have your 2024 actual results, then the variance with your final budget and your 24 results. We added a prior year column here for you, so we could see the difference between 24 and 23. Your operating revenues, you anticipated 164,000 coming in. Your actual results were about 53,000, so about 111,000 shortfall. As you can see on the two lines, you have administrative fees and miscellaneous income. So majority of that shortfall relates to the administrative fees. Mainly to your project closing fees. You did budget 110,000 for the closing fees. It is in line relatively with last year. You did have 44,000 of closing spending. Your operating expenses are net. So you have your salaries, professional contract supplies, and then other operating expenses. In total, your operating expenses you anticipated spending 397,000, and you actually spent 301,000. So it's a total of 96,000 budgetary savings. The savings were related to salaries and benefits as well as professional contract. But I do want to point out year over year, we did have legal variance for your salaries and benefits. We did spend only 44,000 last year versus 154,000 this year. So it was 106,000 increase in your salaries. Not really because your salaries since we started in September 3. This year you have a full year's worth of salary, so that was big. We did have a slight decrease on your professional services contract. That's the next line. The decrease was related to some administrative expenses related to the final payment due at UCA, offset by the hiring of DXQ and some increased transport expenses. We did have some decreased legal fees as well, and then we did do some website and marketing for the mid-caps as well. That resulted. We did have some bad debt expense, the 3,250. That was just to write off some older small receivables. So ultimately, your income or loss from operations did have a loss of about 247,000. Did anticipate a loss of 232,000, so not much more than what we anticipated. Interest income did earn about $9,600 on interest earnings. So if we look at your change in that position, when you pass the budget on the first column, you anticipated having using fund balance of $220,000. If you go to the actual column, you actually used 238,000, so about 9,000 off from what you anticipated. So you started in that position at the beginning of the year. You started at almost $1 million, slightly over, and then you ended the year at 727,000. On the next slide, on slide 6, we have your balance sheets, your assets and liabilities. So how is that 797,000 broken out? Again, we have your 24 over your 23 with your change. Your cash equivalents and investments, you can see that your investments did drop. There was a CD that matured and was held as cash, so that's why the investment is zero. We do have about 330,000 of accounts receivable, most of that's related to Estonian. There's no allowance that's yet been set aside. You do have the due from ultrasound CRC, so that's your shared services, and that fluctuates based on the timing of the payments and freedom of the code. Your prepaid expenses would include your insurance, your prepaid insurance, so that covers both periods, and then your restricted cash is fully related to jump down to the last item liabilities. You have escrow deposit set up, so you're going to have that restricted cash on top now. Your accounts payable is about 1,700, and then your accrued expenses, that's going to be all of your accrued payroll, and then your unearned revenue is your deferred annual meeting revenue, which has not been will be recognized. that's my presentation on the numbers. If anybody has any questions, we'll go over that before we go to the tax.
I just have one question, because it's different now than before.
Yeah.
The salary and benefits are, do you pay the benefits, or are you part of, the county kind of
No,
thing? So
we're not.
salary-
Everything is,
So we can't go into their system?
it was complicated.
Yeah, because I didn't, that's why I'm asking, if I didn't know, because it was Suzanne, but she was part of the county, and then we had Rose had her own thing, so I didn't know how.
This is all inclusive. This is, so over this whole package. I'm sure it's, we have.
They couldn't.
No, we entertained it, the audit, we brought it to the county. With no need, but it's gonna be a little problem. You know, so we went a different route.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, we had-
playing, I'm just trying to think if it would have been cheaper, when it was probably,
I don't know. Did, so when I started, like, in the setting up stuff, setting up the wheel, and then from there, I went and got bids and things for the benefits. So I feel like, you know, for my old job, knowing what you paid there to what we're paying, it's pretty comparable, what we're seeing monthly for benefits. I don't know if there'd be any real cost savings on that. I don't know what the county pays, but.
yeah.
Okay.
It's not a complaint, I just know, I mean, for single people, it's probably a very expensive package we're doing, as opposed to being a larger fleet kind of thing, that was the only thing.
We anticipated going that route, and the feedback wasn't good. And
I get it.
and anyway, we needed to execute, so we had Plan B in place just in case, we didn't.
No, I was just curious, because we had Suzanne, and she was counting, and that wrote that whole
Yeah.
thing, so I didn't know how that worked out.
Yeah, I mean, we went with PDPHT and we put it through Ryan and Ryan. So if you have like a broker, and I think that the cost that they quoted us was just us. This is what they would cost it a medium size. I don't know if there was really a cost savings for us. We're not directly purchasing it from, we're going through an insurance broker. We did go get bids, and not bids so much, but we got quotes to try to get that cost as reasonable as possible. And I think it's around $1,200 a month for the benefits.
Pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Really good.
So yeah.
Supposed to be like,
Natalie is part-time and has not requested benefits, but yeah, for just me. And, it's, having reviewed them with Mike, it's also like pretty comprehensive insurance. It's not like a $10,000 deductible and, so.
That was the biggest issue.
Yeah.
Keeping the deduct down,
yeah, that's.
So you can use the plan.
Right,
Yeah.
that's why.
Other than that,
wondering
it's just the way
how it worked with one team.
Yeah.
Lisa, when we had Lisa at the time, and we were gonna go full-time status with Lisa.
Yep.
So we were gonna bring Lisa into the fold, but then, her situation changed. And she moved on, so.
So, yeah, and then we've looked at switching payroll companies, and I know Rachel brought that up recently, and there are ones that kind of have a better, like, HR integrate. There are, like, a lot of HR functions, too, that you gotta be mindful of with the state. However, we had some initial hiccups setting it up with Paycheck, and the other HR company had said that you should kind of make sure that all of those matters are ironed out before you switch. And they have been, like 3 weeks ago, we got our last notice saying that, they have forgiven any mistakes that we had made when we originally set it up, and there was no fine. And so now.
The first payroll company, the well-known payroll company, what it is, they're geared up for higher volume of people. And they really didn't satisfy what we needed here on a small level. So we did we looked into it.
Ethan Allen.
reports, but they wouldn't let us switch those.
At the time, until everything was cleaned up.
Cleaned up.
And, you know, the attorneys, they were pulling their hair out, going back and forth with them also to get it all straightened out. It was pretty complicated, but it got all situated. Hillary and Chris, you know, everything got situated out, so there we are. Yeah?
Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. No,
Okay, go ahead.
thanks.
So if we, go back to the two points, this is gonna be the start of your management letter. So, have a page, letter thanking, allowing us to provide your service, keeping content. All of this stuff in the box section is information I included already at the campus presentation. That's not repeated, for I do want to point out on page 8 of this, there are significant risks identified. We have identified 2 management overrides of internal controls and operating with fraud. Management override internal controls, like we said, we do a risk-based audit approach, so management generally has access to a lot of items, a lot of activities. So we have to design procedures to make sure that this risk is mitigated. So we did those audit procedures and we did not identify any issues related to this item. The second one, improper revenue recognition to fraud. This is a presumed risk by the ACCA, so we have to identify that risk. Again, we have to prepare audit procedures to see if this risk is mitigated, and we are happy to report that there was no items, no concern. On page 10 is our letter relating to the internal controls.
Can you just ask the question, so, management override and proper position of risk, there's no indication that it's just general risks, not if there's any, no fraud, and no override.
Correct, yes, that's correct. As part of our risk-based approach, we have to analyze the agency, see where the risks lie, what the smaller workforce that is going to be segregation of duties with the risk. We have to develop procedures to make sure that risk is not present.
That seemed to be the topic for Larry at that time too, was going over any potential fraud. Fraud was a big issue out there. So Larry really drove that home. So that's been right.
On page 10 is our letter for the full. We did not identify any material weaknesses, material the highest level of efficiency. Significant efficiency would be the second level. We did not identify those. We didn't even identify control deficiencies, but we do have some best practice recommendations, which are other matters on the next page. So we do have 3. One related to the journal entry approvals. Essentially, what we want to see is that there's the documentation of the approvals. We know that the journal entries are being reviewed. Part of our testing is to come and say, prove to us that these have been reviewed. So just making sure that that's documented, it allows us to verify that they are.
How does that work? If we have a BSP, like that, so you have to oversee them, have somebody else oversee.
Rachel.
Yeah. This came up because the financials come to you for the first one where we're trying to implement something new. I'm not just acknowledging the receipt of the financials every month, but to approve the drawings. So, figure out.
Volunteers are going to approve the journal entries of the people.
So
Does that make sense?
yeah, so BST has different levels of preparation. So one individual will prepare it, and another individual will approve it. They should be documenting their approval. When it comes to the approval, should be documented. And then the review essentially would just be, is there anything unusual on here? Are we taking responsibility from the contractor as well to make sure that we approve all the transactions going on? And just documenting to make sure that we pull out that point.
We would be approving the journal entries, is that right?
As part of the, yes, as part of the financial packet that
So we would be responsible and basically obligated to know that all those journal entries, what they were and they were correct. How would we know that?
yeah, so we spoke with, just this morning, And I think at this point, relying on ESD is a good position. Replying to in an email or document that you identified that it has been reviewed by ESD, that the journal entry provided appear to be reasonable based on your knowledge of the decisions that you have. So wouldn't necessarily be approval that I review every single transaction, but that the appropriate assessment can take place. Essentially, when we tested the journal entry, there was no documentation of approval at any level. And we were told that the CFO and the vice chair review it. So if certain individuals are reviewing it, we want to make sure that stuff is verified.
So I'm not verifying that.
I didn't know you didn't see your CPA anytime. It was a different letter.
But I'm acknowledging that I received it, I'm acknowledging that we followed the process, that the journal entries look like the previous journal entries category wise. I can't speak to.
It seems like that's a high bar for volunteers who are not trained as accountants to have to validate with the accountants. I think they're validated.
We didn't see any approval. So if ESTs wanted to sign off as well, stating that they reviewed every journal entry, every transaction, and then just replying to the board saying we've reviewed everything looks good, and then you accept us as part of your financial presentation, that was fine as well. We were just
That's a lot more appropriate.
Yeah, Mark comes quarterly and presents the financials to the board, and the board approves that report. But yeah, but we have that level.
I don't think it's appropriate for us to be seeing the accounts. There's not that many transactions, it's a tiny organization.
Right, yeah, right. So if we want to just rely on the minutes, then I think we would just want to work with the narrative, because the narrative specifically says that there's certain reviews and approvals. We just test against what the process is, so we can definitely modify this and modify the narrative as well.
I think we should do that. I don't think that this, and I don't think it's appropriate for lay people to be approving financial statements that are prepared by contractor whose job it is to do that.
Yes, I would agree. I would say that as a whole, the board has certain responsibilities to make sure that the transactions are fair and appropriate with the mission of the agency. But that's really the goal that we want to do, which is be updating the narrative about what the process is, we test against the process, and we're fine with moving forward with that. We can definitely get it appropriately.
So the approval would basically be Rachel signing off that to the best of her knowledge, BSD is actually performing as a good actor, so on and so forth.
Well, if we want to go so far as just to rely on BSD, then we would need to see a separate individual preparing it, signing that off, a separate individual reviewing it, and then the board just accepting the financial data as a whole. I would say, ideally monthly, but it's quarterly, I think that's okay. The difference is, yeah, the difference is that preventive control versus active control. So if he comes quarterly, we're just happy with review on the quarterly items. But if he's approving it and you see the sign off for each time those journal entries are being prepared with those more than quarterly on their end, then we're seeing those signatures that should be submitted. Okay.
Your committee gets them. Right?
I get them monthly, but we've just never been asked to sign off on this, so this was new.
Yeah, we get them from that. I review them and forward them to Rachel after they've been reviewed by me, and I look through and it's a very nice report. It's well done. It's got lots of different stats. And then we send it to Rachel, but having that kind of, and we could show the auditors how we distributed it, but we didn't have that statement of I approve in our file. So that's part of our process. So like she said, if that's our process, how are we implementing the process? Because we didn't have that last step of having that sign off. We're kind of not in compliance with our own process. And I think if we change, like Steve said, our process and it still prevents against fraud and lives up to the mission of the IDA, then that's fine. We just need to stop. This is a
Yes, correct. So essentially, we could change the comment to state that the different levels of ESG approval of the document and then we accepted as part of the packet as well. Instead of having
Accept is different than approved.
So at every meeting, I think we need to present to the board about the financials, through our process, they've been signed off on, so at every board meeting, we will approve,
Accept.
then you would accept the financials as,
Yeah, I think
okay.
approving implies that we have knowledge that we don't have. We're not
That's
trained.
And they've already been approved and documented.
Right.
Yeah, and then you guys can ask for a backup. That's the one thing we talked about. Is that even if you flag anything like, hey, what is this on here? We can provide backup for any of the.
Chris, you agree?
All right, moving on.
The second item is relating to operating budget. Currently, the budget is being prepared on Eric's report basis. The financial statements that are prepared go a little bit into more detail by account. So when we're comparing budget to actual with a specific account with a specific line item, like within your professional services contract, we have to essentially look at the next to table. How is that whole budget broken out by line item? So it would just be structuring the budget to go a little bit deeper and then still relative whole level.
How many accounts do we have?
I would say probably 20. Yeah.
So this would be further definition of this.
Yeah, so your parish report is probably about five, so we're breaking it out from 5 to 20.
I feel like, you know, I don't know when the was there, but when we did the budget with Matt or with Mark, we did go through a more detailed account, and then I think he combines it and assigns it into the categories based on the Paris one, but I think not doing it that way. But this was, yeah, more of a Mark item, and we had to see changing the way they set up our budget for years and after with it.
Lastly is approval of the table. At one point, the payroll was reviewed monthly. Again, like we talked about the frequency of training and work, so we would want this payroll review conducted weekly, which would transition to weekly during the year. So this is just identifying, reporting what we identified and then reporting that it was rectified.
That rises to the level of the management, level of something that's already fixed.
So we like to make sure that we bring anything that we do identify as a recommendation or potential deficiency to the board. This deficiency was identified internally, but it is something that still happens during the year. So we've been following our audit process. On page 12 are some GASB that will be coming up in 5 that we'll have to implement. To the list disclosure, I think that's going to be too big of a list. The 103 is going to be mainly related to your management discussion and analysis, providing service on that. The other items that are not to issue for your budget and then explore the welfare. Page 14 is going to be the corrected journal entries that we identified. So just accruing payroll for something first, or carried over into the time here. Appendix 2. So after today, we are essentially set to issue final for the item, and the open means that 9. I would rest of the document are just the draft financial statement for the accounting for tonight. That concludes my presentation.
Do you have any questions? All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. What? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Can we, wait, can we, like, recommend this, yes,
So I have a recommendation to the full board to review this stuff. Oh, I guess. Sorry. All in favor? You guys. Motion to adjourn? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Melissa, thank you. Great job.
Wait, don't go anywhere.
Oh, no, anyway,
Nowhere yet.
Oh, yeah. Lost that order.
Okay. All the meeting of the Ulster County Capital Resource Corporation. It is approximately 9:39. Roll call. Lisa Kelly here, Rachel Silverman
Here.
here. Bill Ferraro is absent. He is minutes. There are no minutes. Public comment. Agenda items only. Thank you very much. Executive session if necessary, is not necessary. Old business, new business. New business is the, now the capital resource.
sorry.
Capital Resource Corporation, on the draft financial statements. Melissa, you
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
So my name is Melissa.
Still.
Yes, still. Engagement partner on the fish relations audit. Would you like me to go over the required communications again? I think it's most important just that we are anticipating expressing an unmodified opinion as previously discussed with the best and conducted corporation purchasing. And that there were no fraud or legal action of its part on it. So go to slide 5. So here is a summary of the revenues and expenses. Again, your original budget would be your adopted budget. The final budget would include changes that you think which are on your 24 results, a variance of your final budget, and then the priority curve as well. Your operating revenues included one item, which is your administrative fee, that's your annual admin fee, that came in about $500, so you're $2,500 under what you anticipated receiving. Operating expenses, again, are salaries, benefits, professional services contracts, bad debts, and other expenses. Your salaries and benefits, you did have savings up to $100, but you did spend more. As we discussed previously, your salaries did begin in September 23, this year closure for your professional services contracts of the $13,000. That includes CFO fees, the legal fees, the audit fees, and your bad debt expense of $2,000 related to some old receivables that were written off in the current year, and then your operating expenses of $1,900 include your subscription, website, insurance, and some office supplies. So your expenses came in at $24,000, the revenue came in at $500, so you had a loss just from your operation activity of $24,279. Did have interest income, so that's considered non-operating. related to your interest earnings of about 10,000. So that dropped your loss down to 14,000. As you can see in the original budget, when we passed budget, you anticipated using part of your fund balance of about 15,400, but you only used 14,121. So you ended with a budgetary surplus of about $1,224. You started at 440,000 in your net position. You ended at about 426,000. So if we go to slide 6, this is going to be your balance sheet. Your assets and liabilities. So in your assets, you have 436,000. Of that amount, the majority are loaded into your cash and cash equivalents. You can see that there was a fluctuation in your investments, which was cash flows into your cash equivalents. Again, that was related to the CD that matured, and then it was held as a cash equivalent. Your restricted cash solely relates to your escrow deposits. You can see those two balances are the same. You do have accounts payable due to the CFO, and then the amount due to Ulster County IDEA, you would see that on the other side, on the IDEA part from CRC and affiliates for the shared services. So that's how we get to your transition form. And that's my presentation on the balance.
I wanted to give everyone an update. So I know Melissa mentioned it here, and then mentioned it in the IDA about our investments. So just so everyone knows, when the CDs were open, which was slightly before I started, they were jumbo municipal CDs, and they do not automatically roll over. They did notify us of that. However, they had our address at this building, and not there. So by the time we unraveled this whole thing, which in fine print on the bottom did tell us that they don't roll over, we were able to now move those into CDs, but they will mature in June. So just kind of thinking about what we want to do with those once we realized that they were sitting there being held in cash and that they did not automatically roll over. Mike went and moved them into CDs just so they would earn interest, but as a board, we'll have those investments will not roll over again because of the type of CDs that they are, and so just kind of getting that in the back of your mind as to what will happen in June when those mature.
At the time,
No, this was done in.
we moved it to M&T.
So, yeah.
At the time, we were at the mercy of the market, okay? So we opted for the shorter term.
Yeah.
And now we will present to the board, we'll see what's out there, but hopefully.
We didn't lose much of a percentage though on what the CDs, I think were initially in there, and I apologize, I didn't bring it with me, what they were initially earning interest and what we were able to roll them into was only a small percentage off what they had there. So I just give everyone an update why you keep saying the CDs are now being held in cash. They are no longer, we did move them in to new CDs, but we somehow missed that.
Are we laddering right now?
Right now.
Yes. Yeah, that's why before we even get to this point again, now that everyone knows our address, which is, to me, was a little crazy because that they did know our address. I know as signers, they had all our information. We didn't receive anything.
Were they
Zero.
No, their statements were going to our PO box, but for
Correct.
some reason they had our PO box, and then this is the physical address, and for some reason those had gone directly to the physical address.
It was a challenging several weeks.
So, but anyway, once we unraveled it all, thanks to it was a team effort here. We were able to go to the bank and move them into CDs, so at least they would start earning interest again, and then we'll bring that to the board to decide what we want to do with those investments.
Nice
in
learning.
June.
Because it made, personally, it made me start looking at all the individual stuff that was coming up, you know what I mean? Thinking it was laying dormant, so.
Yeah, so I just thought I would share that.
There you have it.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but here was what I needed.
If there's any questions, we can move on. So again, this is starting in whether all the box information is what we've spoken on. We did identify the similar to significant risk, and then we're happy to let everyone know issues identified. Those risks are mitigated with control and appropriation. Page 10 is our report The controls, we did not identify any major weaknesses, we have to report, only identified, the matter items. We go to page 11. Because the operations are essentially very similar, or the controls are the same basically, we do have the same comments. The journal entry approval, we will adjust to essentially say that the approval should be documented, also on the side, to new or etc. At that point. The operating budget is prepared on the parish report level, so we would want that prepared in the same level that on the account side. The things that includes what we want back, and then the payroll approval, essentially moving from a weekly payroll to a monthly, or monthly to a weekly.
Oh, so we had initially had our payroll set on when it got set up originally, kind of on like auto pay, which, no, but Natalie is, and Lisa was, and so, so now, so instead of having set up on, well, Lisa was salary as well, so when Natalie joined, we, had found some ways, or we had found some places that this could cause an issue. And so when Natalie joined, we went to weekly timesheet approval, and then we gave Matt and Mark read-only access, so they can go in there and pull those reports. They also get email notifications. So this way, we just don't have any ways now that payroll could be kind of issued unbeknownst to us and caused it. Us and then myself and the board, the IDA or.
Well, it's a checks and balances thing. We just want to make sure that nothing's being
But the payroll
to any person that shouldn't get a check. How's that? Right. That's what we're looking at here,
So that's why we switched that process once we hired Natalie, and so,
And when we're signing checks, Mr. Natalie puts that together every month, I get with Natalie and I go, okay, what is this one? Because sometimes the way they're laid out, and I'm hypothetically, we use BSD, like maybe it's a different name there, but it is BSD. So Natalie's always got that right there. So
This is payroll.
yeah, but I'm just saying, I'm signing anything. We're trying to align it that way. But
Two signatures for check.
you know what? We used to. The problem is all the signers. We have signers on here now. On checks. Okay. But I think Trevor, were you gonna be? You're a signer, right?
no, Joe is the first.
Joe. Yeah.
Joe is our second signer, and Mike signs all of our checks that we can't pay, like some things like our rent and stuff, we can pay that through Emilio. And in that case, we have a two-part approval system, so I'll approve it before Matt pays anything, and then for larger amounts, Mike, bless you. Not only am I, we're kind of approving the invoice, but then Mike is coming in and signing the check before we mail it out. I would be slightly concerned if every, thing coming in, we had to wait for two board members to come and sign, it just may take a long time.
No, yeah.
Bless you.
There needs to be a sign off. And any huge ginormous thing probably.
That's gotta be.
Well, the ginormous things we bring to board. So we have board approval documented in the minutes, like let's see, things like creative. Those come to the board, you guys approve that, we have that documented, and then Mike reviews that and signs the check. But we can always, anything out of.
For me, it's as long as you get done what you need to get done. And for a large thing, if it's two people, I personally, I don't think you should have to wait for the board.
I think anything that's in the
Yes,
budget,
yeah.
that's your responsibility.
Right.
Things like
Yeah.
we're doing something outside of the budget, like a new website. we did not budget for that, then I think then there needs to be more board oversight. But if
Yeah.
it's in the budget, that's what the budget.
Yeah.
Make sure that it's.
And even Larry asked the same questions, like meet with Larry. Larry asked me, what can we do to move ahead here that you best could, we could protect, here, and, it's, that conversation comes up all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
Two-party signatures at a certain level,
Right.
and then, back to your point, it's finding someone else. I mean, I'm here all the time, I'm all over the place, but, somewhere in my end of my day's work, I'm traveling through here that I can stop at the office. Trevor would be perfect too, I mean, he's local, you know what I mean? And Joe is on there also as the secretary right now, so.
And Joe's been great.
Joe's been
Anytime
real good, yeah.
He's stopped by the office. We haven't had any major issues where checks are sitting there for weeks and weeks and weeks, not getting signed. And I would say we don't do a lot via check, other than VST writing. The VST goes out and checks. We did Loki Grill via check, which we haven't had those bills in a minute now. And then anything very large, that's new, if you can succeed. Otherwise, we're not writing a lot of checks.
I mean, like, I agree, if we've approved it,
Yeah.
I just don't want you to have to sit and wait to bring it to the board once a month,
No.
and,
You should be running our business for.
Like Hillary said, big ticketed items we bring before. And then get
If it's
through
not
here,
in the budget.
and then we sign it.
but if it's not in the
But
budget,
it's not.
right,
In the budget, day-to-day expenses.
Yeah, you gotta do.
Yeah.
but if it's, like you're writing a check for $450,000, two people should be.
Yeah.
Writing that, I'm wondering what account that's coming out, but anyhow.
That would be nice. And then we also have Rachel approving our credit card, so, if it's something that we're not purchasing via check, we don't have any cash, in the office, so we'll use the credit card and we submit that to Rachel monthly. There's that, oversight of purchases,
But you-
day-to-day purchases that are.
We
being
may be
made.
going a little over, but you know what, we're better off going further than we have to.
Yep.
So,
Okay, all right. Continuing, yeah.
It's important to assess the risk of all the transactions, and then utilities or departments that would always going to become a higher risk item. Again, we have the on the horizon, most important, 103 for the MD&A and budget comparison, so which we that change in 2026. The management rep letter, that will need to be signed for us, but finally, we have to that, and then so the rest of the packet is just some draft support, which is something for the
All right, thank you very much. Good to hear it. All right, so, motion to put forward, these statements and this audit. For the board. Second, all in favor? Okay, motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
Take the rest of the day.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your meeting.
Ready to break before we go to finance committee?
roll it.
All right. All the finance committee meeting of UCIDA order at 10 o'clock. 9:56. Pledge of allegiance. Take two. Can we skip the pledge?
We already did it already.
All right, roll call. Everybody. That's okay, but it's everybody. Michael Ham.
Here.
Rachel Silverman here. Steve Kelly. Joe Ferraro is absent. Notice. Randall Leverett. Here. Trevor Kerwin.
Here.
Costume was also. Notice.
No, Randall's on there.
Oh, Randall.
Put this.
I got it.
All right, we'll update it. It's not on this.
I marked down now.
All right.
Oh, no, we have them down here, it's board member, just not an officer.
Yeah.
All right.
Mission statement of the IDA is still the mission of the Ulster County IDA to advance the job opportunity, general prosperity, and long-term economic vitality of Ulster County residents. Other systems to foster creation and attracting new business. Approval of the minutes. We don't have minutes from last. Public comments on agenda items. Executive session is not necessary. Full business. None. We will jump into the new business, which is a review of our investment report.
On page 3, you'll see the printout from Paris and Sand right now. Really, the only investment for the IDA is it had the CD, which as previously discussed was earning interest, maybe not roll over, so kind of sat there and cash a bit. But as Hillary said, it's now earning interest. And then we also had a little bit of interest from our bank account as well, some from the and then page 3, so if you have your questions involved, the answers have not changed since prior year. That's really it.
On our new one.
On our new one, I
I
think,
can, I feel like it's sitting around 4-ish. I
I
can
think
get
it's
it to you.
389. Yeah, because we were trying to push them for.
Yeah, we were
But
trying
you
to.
want to know something? One thing they did do with the interest rate, they gave us the same interest rate that they would give one of their higher end clients, like somebody really investing a lot of money. They did offer that at that time. And like I said, we were at. No, this was the new bank. This is the new bank.
They were very apologetic, even though we did eventually get the letter, and the fine print was on there, italicized, I just didn't see it. So, you know, I apologized as well. I didn't read it as closely as I should have. Anyway, we got it, it's rolled back in. Okay.
Any questions?
Matt, thank you.
Do we need to, a motion to present the investment report? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And a motion to adjourn? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Calling the finance committee meeting for the UCCRC at 10:03. 10:01.
I don't even read it.
Roll call again. Oh,
Now we have the correct one.
Silverman here, Michael Ham.
Here.
House Steve is absent with notice. Joe is absent with notice. Trevor Kerwin. Ramsel Everett. Steve Kelly. Public comments on agenda items. Executive session is not necessary. Old business, none. New business, here's up. Our business.
Much like the IDA, the only investments that the CRC had was in CDs and a little bit of interest from the bank accounts. The CDs have also been rolled forward after saving cash. Page 3 from the Paris report. Again, collections are all answered the same way as in prior years.
Questions? All right, I get a motion to present the investment report for the board. All in favor? All right, so the next item on the agenda. All right, Chris, we're up.
Thank you. So you have before you a motion to recommend the bond resolution for board with the bond project. Under the Public Authorities Accountability Act, Finance Committee was required to make a recommendation to enter insurance of debt by the CRC or the other agency in this case. So this resolution simply recommend full board of the CRC to move forward with adopting the bond resolution going forward to it consider unfortunately.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn? All in favor?
Aye.
Hold on here.
Yeah, I'm gonna move back up. Yeah, let me get it, I'll get it before the final. Okay?
Everybody need a break for a minute? Good? Everybody's good? Okay, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting for the Ulster County Industrial Development Agency. We're gonna dispense with the pledge of allegiance. We've already done it, okay, prior to this, which is on tape. Roll call, Michael Ham, present, Rachel Silverman, Stephen Kelly, present, Joseph Ferraro is absent with notice, Randall Everett, Trevor Kerwin, and Costu Walla is absent with notice. In front of you, you'll have some minutes from the February 19th, 2025 regular board meeting on page 3. I ask that you review them, and then I will accept the motion to accept those minutes.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Public comment on agenda items only? Nothing? Executive session, it's not necessary at this time. The chair's report, we've been continually meeting with clients. We have applications coming our way. I'm not gonna rain on Hillary's parade because she'll have a good report here. She's been doing a tremendous job. She's out there, herding cats every day, okay, to bring people to our door. It's really good, and we had a great public hearing the other night, but let that be my report for right now. I'm gonna turn it over to our executive director.
Thanks, Mike. So my notes are on the computer, which is queued up to do a presentation soon, so I apologize. But I thought I would go over kind of where we're at with our community outreach. As you know, we've been working hard. We had on March 4th, Chris and I were out at the Rondout Municipal Center. We gave a kind of everything anyone in county government may need to know about the IBA. We invited people from school boards, from tax collectors, our local assessors, county, local government officials. We had about, I think, 29 people in attendance. Very lively Q&A session, which was wonderful. And I think everyone walks away feeling like they know how to reach us, that we're a member of the community just like they are, and that we're here to give that support. And it was wonderful to have Chris on hand to help with that. He did a phenomenal job. We've also been just out and about at our regular kind of haunts, going to any type of public forum where economic development, moving forward the community where it may be on the agenda, such as our Chamber of Commerce, such as our Venture Hub. Put on a great event the other night that one of our members, Trevor, was in attendance with as well. So we've been working hard on that end of things. I feel like I had other stuff on there. Oh, I wanted to projects continue to move forward. We're excited. We're getting applications in quite regularly. So please let us know well in advance if you know that you cannot attend, just so we can coordinate meetings to the best of our ability. We really want to make sure that of all the things that board members are here to do, that we have everyone kind of having eyes on projects, having enough time, feeling confident that they can make a vote on projects. So please let us know if you can't attend a meeting, just so we can coordinate things on our end. these things tend to move really fast and really slow all at the same time. So again, just good communication, and please don't hesitate to pick up the phone and call me. That being said, we have a lot of guests today, and to not take up anyone else's time, if there are specific questions anyone has on admin things going on, if not, I'll turn it back over to them.
Okay, thanks, Elizabeth. So at this time, I'd like to go a little out of order here, all right? We do have representatives from the Marlboro project, and we would like to jump them ahead before we get into the financials and all the ABO. Okay, so if anybody has any objection to that?
That we start with the
Can I get a second? All in favor? Aye. Okay, great. So,
They're gonna give a presentation, I'm gonna try to skew it up on the
thank you.
Oh, we're gonna probably on this computer over here.
Yeah, sure, it's right there, that's great.
It's really
Oh, that. Maybe on. Oh, there you go.
Move to this end so that we can see and view at the same time.
Should I get?
That way, otherwise we're gonna look like, you know, it's.
Yeah, I don't think, you might be sitting there, I don't know, if it's still running. Thank you. I'm not, you guys.
I know, that's like, I get that for the house. I like that for my house.
It's actually a real photo.
Yeah.
Well, we good?
Right. So first, I'm Sean Magada. I represent Marlboro Resort LLC. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time with us today. Associate Paul, he's worked diligently through this process since we started in 2023. I want to give you an overview of the property. It's, you don't know, it's 152 acres. Right now, we're looking to reposition almost everything that's on the property now, which is about 14, 15 structures. And at the end of the day, turning into an 84-key resort with numerous food and beverage outlets and other activities. Obviously, everyone knows the location, near to the Federal Lights Greenwich, and the local train station. So it's a very desirable opportunity for us. As I said, 2023 is when we kind of toured it see right away, which we've never done before. We were aggressive and going after a property location where people actually the owners also, and what it actually was beforehand. So it was like kind of a hunting lodge resort for I think 50 to 60 years before us. The family that had the property was really envisioning to become this. We kind of walked it, not knowing it was going to be for sale. It was like one of those things that, hey, speak to the owners. We told them our vision, what we were looking to do. The woman that was really running day-to-day operations, Kathy Reno, walked us through her vision without even knowing ours. And she was like, oh, I wanted to do this, I wanted an event space. And Michael and I, my partner, and I just said, can I look at something like this is it? So we went down, we went to contract within a month and a half, two. We closed on it last year. And you can kind of see the lines of our basically process of getting through all the planning board, negative declaration, which we got, which has to traffic, fire department, all the safety aspects, that we're updating the property to be, and to coexist with our community. So we set our, expansion, we closed on, the county Newburgh and Monroe agreement, for the water district, so that was done. And now we're with you guys walking through, you know, kind of our vision and where we see this project going. This is basically an overview. You come into the property, the beautiful gates everyone saw. You come in, you go about a quarter of a mile. We wanted to make our property as kind of car-free. So you come in, you drop your car off. Hopefully you don't touch it until you leave. And really that's home. So you come in, bikes, electric vehicles, really no gas. Cars on the property. Even the way we set up our event space, we kind of wanted to keep one, and we didn't really cause any environmental changes on the property. We farmed almost all the homes that were built in the village, exactly where the hunting lodges were and shooting for Clayton shooting that was there before. So we were very cognizant of the environmental impact on the layout. So I don't know, has anyone ever walked this property before? It seems like everything. So you know what it's like. It has a bunch of lakes on it. It's breathtaking. You know? So when you come through, you drop your car off, you have an entry, and then from there, we take in, I think, every structure that's on to be either repositioned or used, really taking nothing down. So it's exciting for us. We added, we're going to be adding a dormitory on the back end. As you can see, there'll be numerous restaurants, F&B outlets, cinema, again, country store, and a wall garden. Again, we want to produce most of our F&B entrees from the property, so we're speaking of farmers and stuff like that to add even more farmland, so we'll be kind of up local harvesting. Phase 1 is 84, phase 2 is 86 guest keys. Today we're here with phase 1. This is kind of our balance sheet right now. We purchased at 3.86. The new bill is about $42.5 million. Infrastructure works 21, and then a lot of the repositioning I'm saying is the 1.3 million, which is the main house. I think it was like Downward Dog, which was there. Holistic meditation center, so we're using that space, and then obviously equipment, soft costs, and labor. We've already put out like 1.2 to 1.3 million out of pocket soft costs. We were trying to just expedite things and just move forward. We haven't stopped. I think we've been out of pocket from that partner. So we've worked with Tinkleman. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Tinkleman. It's our the local architects and engineers, and then most of our team's all local. Here is a conservative number of job creation for Marlboro LLC. This is actually was cut back a little bit back from our real numbers. This is, I think, as low as it's going to get, and I think it's still a pretty substantial number of new hires that we'll have on the property. Anywhere from 14 to 20 full-time professional, meaning director levels. That helps me engineer, F&B, hotel management, membership. Of that capability, and then we have admin work, back in front of house, services, and you really can walk through, and then we have event team, sales, that's stated there. If you look at kind of the progression, you know, we're anywhere from 55 to 72 is like our belly, and then it's from our directors like 85 and higher salary.
What are your plans for the original, the existing structure?
So we're turning that into like a saloon. We're repositioning the 2 rooms they already have in that. And you know it's so but anyone knows it's like a hunting lodge type of feel that they kept it. We're just, again, cleaning it up.
Beautiful.
Yes, it's a lot, well, the first thing we walked in, was the fireplace, a lot of things we wanted to add to it. Obviously, I wanna have everyone, I should, if there's a meeting, I want to floor. My thing, I feel a lot rough here.
I suggest you take advantage of that.
Yeah. And we're one of these things that, like, the individuals, what everybody's done, everyone here, please. So that we're repositioning, we're adding a laundry on the back end by the pool, which is offices, and we like the, candy store, farm store, locally. We're building like kind of a community there. So it's exciting, I think for us, Michael and I, this is 10 years of me, trying to do something like this, and we're very fortunate to be, at this opportunity in this town. So we don't take it for granted. Michael and I, anything we get involved in develop, we did it, own it. Any locals have a phone number, money will be built with Burton. Anyone who's on the board had my cell number. That's how we kind of work with it. We try to get ahead of things with board and issue, and we always make ourselves available. So that's the end of the year. Shocked me like a big deal. It's I want something how we're building our house and stuff like that. Probably with $1 available, but this is something where you guys are going to see a lot of time. With us, my family, but we're excited.
So is this a resort that, open to the public, or is this a resort that people will buy into?
It'll be open to the public to for rooms and stuff like that, and for the restaurant space. Buy into as meaning like hotel condo.
I just trying to understand the.
Yes, it's just like it would be like a normal resort. I mean, if you want massage and stuff like that, people locally. We're actually thinking about a whole membership for the gym. It's actually the full spa, 8,000 square feet. So, we really, that's the goal. Local.
I just wasn't sure if it was a condo, but a.
No, this is hotel.
It's a hotel.
Yeah. Phase 2 possibly, with it, but we always want to be hotel first. No, not at all.
So is it, to piggyback on that, is it guest only access and use, or?
You mean mixed use?
Yeah.
No, so it'll be public, so you want to come in and have a dinner with your wife? You come in. You want to do a massage treatment, couples, single, girlfriends want to do a bachelor party and want to do dinner and, spend the afternoon there by the pool.
It's gonna be similar to the wildflower almost, or the wildfire. Yeah, wildflower. Yeah, it's similar to that. In the phase 2 build, that was something totally different.
How far is it from?
It's Latin Town Road.
Buttermilk Falls?
Yeah.
Oh, my Uncle Bob. Yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
yeah, very close friend. Well, it was years ago. We were trying to put that with him. Something what he's been trying to say.
Is it close to there, or?
About 20 minutes, 15 minutes.
Okay, so it's further down.
Yeah.
It's further down.
Okay.
Yeah. And off the Hudson, yes.
Yeah, it's way.
Yeah.
That's really good. Keep going, please.
So, these are our conservative expectations, sales tax. Walking through year 5, 10, 14, break this down for year by year. You guys want hot coffee, email it over. But, with the investment of, I would say $89 million, I think it's, and good jobs, fiction, for municipalities, obviously the state. But Ulster County, I think it's going to really have a great impact. Next page. This is not ours, but that's that's closer to Uncle Bob's. It's actually right. His is right below it. Buttermilk Falls. So, if you guys have any questions, again, Paul and myself always make ourselves available to come up and for the thing. Like I said, I think you should wait some time and we'll walk the property or jump on the ground here and go around. topography, everything's amazing about it. And when you really see that, the impact, environmental impact, that we made an effort to really not affect that at all. I think it's something to be excited about, and then seeing the opportunity for the local community, having it going first to the staff, it's not affecting, you know, the pricing and stuff like that, the local, but also going after icing to the schools that are around here for a lot of these roles.
I don't have a question, but I have a statement. I think this is a great project. I think this is the kind of project that we should be supporting. Thank you.
I agree.
Yeah, that's,
That's what they should all be, because it creates entertainment, it has event space, you can do multiple things, and host multiple types of events. That's all right.
what do we have to do for that?
So, thank you for that, Sean. We really
I
appreciate
do
it.
want to come visit.
I can help set those
Yeah,
up.
please.
You know.
I would love to. We enjoyed that.
I live in Hyden, so it's not really.
And I'm in fall, so.
So the resolution.
No, I was just gonna say, you know, we'll let Chris introduce the resolution here.
Sure, it's just to hold a public hearing with respect to projects, after the test, more than $100,000. The idea will probably be like, it's been hard. So including this resolution.
I'll make that one.
Second.
All in favor of moving to public hearing?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, Sean, we'll get a date together for a public hearing? Yeah. That'd be great.
We have to give notice to all the taxing jurisdictions, so usually about 40-ish from today. That's for that will, Chris and his team will draft the document, we'll send them over to you for your review, and then I guess like so.
Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Sean, thank you. Thank you.
Then you can just pull the stick out.
Okay, that's great.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Now, back to the real interesting stuff, okay?
Finances and administration.
Sorry, this is just,
Oh, no.
I just didn't want to.
Okay, so moving on here, and thank you for everybody for going over the, hopefully it's the end of here. So, let's start with financials, accounting administrative update. Rachel? Where you at? We did. You want to do that for, oh yeah, well, that's gonna be there, right, it's under it.
All right. So, unfortunately, Mark couldn't be here today. He had a, very close family matter he had to attend to, but we've got Matt, and so we're gonna go over Paris in our annual reports. I don't know, if you want, I know Mark and I worked on most of this, so do you wanna lead or do you want to?
Okay, I got a rundown to Mark.
All right, maybe
yesterday,
get
so-
Mark's rundown, go there.
All right, so I'll start off with, most of the responses have not changed since last year, so I wouldn't want to be filled on. We can do it along, but our first report is the governance side of Paris. Basically saying you guys are, set up separate committees based on, like, audit, committees, finance committees, that you guys are supposed to stuff on your website as required by several statutes. The second page of that again is, yes, we have a lot of governance, finance committee meetings. Again, all your meetings are posted on your website. And then you guys have, public documents and, the board approves policies and abides by those policies. Your next report is the board of directors listings. So all the all the current board members at the 12/31/24 are listed on there with when their term started and ended, And then other information such as, they signed off on the document that we tested to see parish training. There is actually one change that was made in Paris with regard to going to board members who cannot receive training as December 31st, 24, but they are getting training,
They're signed up, it's in time happen yet.
but they're still within, compliance.
They're within compliance, of the year, and they are signed up for the training, so we just had it marked as yes, even though technically they have not actually taken it. So that we've changed that.
If you see anything for on your name that needs to be changed, please let us know. We'll get it updated in Paris. Next report is your staff listing. So this lists all the employees of the IDA for 2024. So you had 3 staff members throughout 24. You currently have 2. Hillary and Natalie. Or after that is your board members. The board members now receive benefits. Again, it's all voluntary.
Oh, I thought we were getting the severance plan.
Governance review this?
Tariff report, no, and we did not have governance review it last year. I don't know, Rick, was that?
Next report is your subsidiary. Again, you guys don't have any subsidiaries of the IDA, so report is essentially the Lastly, you have your audited financials, which have been updated. And PKF 180s. Those should match the reports that we heard in those meetings. IDA does have outstanding debt, conduit debt, but there's some in the financing. This is another area where Mark and I found another change that we made. Currently, I'm reporting the packet because of the $5 of debt retired. In fact, it was $690,000 retired.
Which figure you in?
The 14 of 46. 14 of 46. Correct, that's the adjustment that Mark and I made, last night, exact, that's back to retired, $893,836, so, yeah. It's updated in comparison now. Yes, correct. The next report is your legal property. The IDA does not own any property where you can play. Again, the personal property as well. Yep. Next report is the list of your IDA projects. So, turn it over to you.
Sure, so we did, every year reach out to all of our projects, we request, payroll reports, we request, information on their pilot payments. We send that over to Mark for verification, we also make sure that they have the proper insurances, and then we update the report in here. I will say that we received on-time documentation from almost all of our projects, with the exception of KARG2, which is 111 Vantage Avenue, which is 716. It had like 40 names. And so the issue with them is that they have tenants in that building. It's a medical arts building, and one of the tenants, year after year after year, will not report. It's managed by Westchester Medical Health, and me and them, that guy and I, we went deep this year, and last night I finally found the right person, and they did send us all of their documentation. Westchester Medical will be updating the report, so we anticipate having correct numbers to input into theirs. However, that one, we will definitely, bring that to governance for assessing a late fee, and I don't know.
They never change.
It's
the same.
difficult.
It's the same.
That's all, make it,
It's
make
the
it
same. It's,
Yeah.
you're not welcome to the class.
I know. So it seems to be the same actors last year who had difficulty reporting on time. We're the same ones this year. So we will be assessing some of our minimal late fees for, I believe, 2 projects, but they did report rather timely, just within a day or 2 of our deadline. But again, in order to get that, we have to make several phone calls and emails, and the only one that we really had to chase was the KARG2, and that's, again, a tenant issue with them, not necessarily the project itself being in non-compliant. But we did get it last night, so that will be updated, and that information we will update in Paris on project.
So you're collecting individually from the tenants in the building, their information.
We don't collect that, the project collects it, they compile it, but they still send us the payroll reports to back up the information that they put in the report on all the tenants.
And that one tenant doesn't provide.
That one tenant, just no matter what we do, will not provide. I was able to just call the main number, pretend as though I'm not sure who I'm supposed to be speaking with, and just leave various voicemails around. And I was able to get a call yesterday of a woman who had never heard of this, and she could not believe that she had to give me her payroll report. But she did, after I threatened the board. So I appreciate you guys being there, and always having our back with that, but,
Is there,
Premier Medical, they're the ones that just really struggle to give us that kind of concern.
And they're required to?
They are required to, yeah. So that's the only,
So is that a condominium, or do we have, is it somebody, who is it who owns the project?
Westchester Medical, so it's KARG2 is like the, I don't know how all these different.
okay, right, it's like a medical arts building.
Yeah.
And they've got a chiropractor, they got a this, they got a that, they got a dentist. And each one of those tenants needs to provide
Job numbers.
the information for those people
To
to the top person, or whoever
So
manages
it's-
the
Why is
project.
that our problem to get that?
It's not.
It's not.
It's the primes, okay? All the subs have to get those numbers to the prime.
Right.
The problem lies is that it's been,
They take
it's a vicious cycle that it's usually two never get us the information. Now it's down to 1.
Well, it's the second floor tenant, which is Premier Medical, that just year after year, I looked through the notes.
Why is that our responsibility to get it
It's not.
for the project owner?
It's not, it's just without us, they're banging on every door too, but if,
The only
If-
I would add is sometimes when we have delinquent, project applicants, we send a letter for people, and it's saying sometimes, typically a letter from a law firm.
Yeah.
Gets their attention to it.
it does.
That's the T.
Yeah, and I don't like to hear it, but you probably would solve it for it. No,
But it's,
next year.
I mean, ultimately, the responsibility of
The
the
project, yeah.
property
Yep.
owner to provide this. And if they don't do that,
If they
then why
don't,
don't we should have a serious assessment so that it stops happening. They put more effort into getting it. It should not be us.
I can tell you, we try, and you get management changes, like she said. I never heard of this, why, and so one of the things that I'm thinking about
We do this every-
is it possible
Oh, that's
for
right.
us, when we do the contract with these primes, that it is their responsibility to get this stuff from their tenants.
Isn't that what
And
it
I think
is?
it's already, and then they
Yeah,
make it more.
Make it more,
We'll see.
Yeah.
it's in there, and I will give WAMC held a lot of credit because they're not, I mean, if you saw the amounts of unanswered emails and phone calls that they've been making to this tenant, it's significant.
You keep
So,
sending eviction notice because of failure.
Well, what happens in that case, Steve, too, is back when I was on governance, we used to have a nice nastygram that we put out through governance, and it used to label in there, you know, you may be subject to clawback provisions.
Yep.
At this time, and that would grab their attention, but then Hodgkin Russ would pull up, you know, they would come in, you know, as our backup, and they would send a nice backup letter to that about 2 weeks later, and then all of a sudden we got the numbers.
so
You know, but it's a vicious cycle that we have to do this. We shouldn't have to. But you're right, we should put the prime on point. It should be, you know, just, hey, your responsibility. Maybe if, you know, we used to send it to we sent the letter to the prime.
They have a new CEO down at WMC, and they would be like to get a letter from us about how their subsidiary has.
But we've had this before with several other clients too, without naming those two, that I can right off the top of my head. You want to know something? And this was, once again, they felt this out, and they were a single entity. And they were just like, yeah, we don't have to do that. And we went, oh, okay, here you go. And then all of a sudden, you're a bad person because they entered into an agreement with you, knowing at the time exactly what it was laid out to say, and then they wanted to just not honor the agreement. So once again, letter through governance, it would come out, you'd be subjected to clawbacks, blah, blah, blah. And then we'd wait 2 weeks, and then Hodgkin Russ would fire the letter off, and then everybody, you know, they would stand on point, and next thing I know, one person actually explained to us this before Hillary, they said, I'm gonna make this payment, but it's under duress. And I went, okay, you know, we're good with that, you know?
You're gonna set with the capital notice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
and I think the issue that we're having with the tenant is that they know that Westchester Medical has, like, when I spoke to her yesterday finally, and I went into clawbacks, I tried to be very, like, you know, this could be subject to clawback, she's like, yeah, but isn't that Westchester Medical? Like, it was kind of this nonchalant, like, well, how does that mean?
it was the carousel of madness, that's what it was.
It's not their problem. It's not our problem. It should not become our problem.
Well, the
I don't
reason why.
think we should plan ahead and start this process.
I think the solution here is maybe we craft something a little more better, you know, something better in the contract. Correct. Yeah.
Maybe we give them a more significant fee for this year. I don't know what
Well,
tools
that's
we
where
have.
the fees initially came in, because what I was finding is they were just like, oh, well, I'm new here, and I don't know anything about it, and I'm not gonna give you anything.
Didn't we account for that? So we tied the increased fee based on the admin time needed to chase them down?
Correct.
Yeah.
But there was nothing. It was just, we would send the staff out and get it, and it was like, no, these people who get these things should be bearing the cost for the administration of their project. We shouldn't be eating that cost.
No,
In the future, we should subcontract that to somebody else at great cost, so that, you know, it becomes, it should be.
We are, the Chris.
That's true.
What about the line?
The library actually did a great job this year. I will hand it to her. She did give me one, she did give me one inaccurate report, but we caught it very quickly and she immediately sent over the correct one. Right? I did too, but the paperwork end of things was fall apart. They did great.
So anyway, moving on.
Moving on, so that's the one change we will be making
Yeah.
to the project reporting section, which goes through page 53 or 45, whichever one. If you want to look at the comparison report itself. So does anyone have questions on the project reporting themselves? And I'll do. So that's the end of Paris. Along with Paris, we submit authority mission and goals measurement report, which is primarily kind of a summary of, you know,
What page are you?
the dealings,
We are
I guess.
on
We are, sorry, we're on,
Right after Paris.
oh, it's under the thing. It's page 55. You can't see it on this one. Yes. So this will just give us, kind of that evaluation of our performance measures. As you know, we did not close on any projects in the year 2024. It'll give you the total amount of highway exemptions, property tax exemptions, and our sales tax exemptions, which go from last year from 2 projects, but both of those projects at the end of the year received their certificate of occupancy. So we currently have no projects that are receiving sales tax exemptions in the moment. And then if you turn to the back, page 56, we talk about our more of our evaluation performance measures. We wanted to just highlight the fact that both of our projects that did complete construction in the year 2024, both of them met the 75% threshold for local labor. We're continuing to work towards our mission, and again, we continue to kind of implement our administrative plan that was put together by the board, including our communications and outreach plan, and the hiring of the executive director. And that's what we have. This outline was kind of there before I came. So if anyone has any questions on this, I kind of just filled in the information for Plan 24. That's the mission and goals report. The next one report that we complete is the operations and accomplishments for 2024. So some of our kind of highlights of the year is we did add 3 new board members. We had 4 returning board members. We now have 7 total members on the board. We will update this again to just indicate that we still have 1 member who is registered and will be completing their ABO training in 2025. We had our orientation with the board, and just some highlights from the year. We adopted a new housing policy. The board worked to create a UTEP to reflect specific changes to the UTEP to reflect that. We created a housing matrix as well to go along with the new housing policy. We updated our website. So as you know, we have a new website we're very proud of, and that we continue to ensure transparency and compliance with the UDO. We also implemented a credit card policy last year. I apologize. Oh wait, in 2022, just so you know, you guys completed kind of a public education and communication plan, and we've been working towards implementing that plan. And in April of 2024, we held a community-wide event. As you know, since 2025 has kicked off, we've done more of those events, and we will continue to do so. And then in October 2024, we updated our logo and branding materials to better align its definition with the public, our work, and our mission. We continue to improve our relationships and have been doing a lot in terms of community outreach, working with the county, our partners in economic development, and that is the end of that. Questions on that one? Okay. And then we'll turn it back over to Matt for procurement.
So your next report is procurement. So basically any purchasing you make over a certain threshold, you have to report on your Paris report. The next,
We are on 60.
Yeah, 58, and then we're going to 59.
So page 59 is where your list of all the purchases over your threshold start. Mostly they're to do with county services, legal fees, your rent. There was health insurance, and then with the created for the idea of your grant global design, with real commitment to sponsor your projects. And then because of what we're in a website and sandblast and have 100 pages for doing it.
All right, and that is all of the annual report documents. Any questions, thoughts, recommendations, or changes?
Great job.
So we should do combine them, we should have a motion for the annual report.
Yeah, I agree.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Matt. Okay, we're gonna move into committee reports. We're gonna start with Steve. Audit.
Good, so the work you do report is on page.
We don't have a.
Nope, no local bills.
We're just gonna.
Right back on hold.
Back to the, so we already done it. So we need to make a motion.
Accept, not approve, accept.
We need a motion to, please, motion to accept the draft audit.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
That's it. Yeah, the motion by Tom. For somebody else.
All right.
Finance.
Finance, Rachel?
For finance, receive the motion to accept the investment report.
So. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, Rachel. Governance, there's no governance report at this time.
No governance.
Costi will be back with a very educational report next week. Okay, old business, status of pending projects. Chris?
Yes, so, on page 44, you want the materials. So, pending transaction list, Cresco has not changed, I'm sorry.
It's a scary
It's
number.
66, because you
Oh, yeah, I saw it.
printed out your copy with the audited financial.
Okay. All right.
So, Cresco Labs, no change. New Pulse Way Hotel, as you guys may recall, that's been approved by the IB board. Project documents have gone out to a couple of council acceptance. We're expecting a few comments on those documents, nothing exciting, but hoping to close that in. And pending enforcement list, King Stoning, as you recall, they had a supplemental request for an extension. We're still working with that document. I think that's it.
You got it. Well, I can tell you that we both played, they demolished what was there. What was there, I think they did that the day after we had the public hearing.
I was shocked at how fast
As I
that was
rode
going.
by.
They were anxious to get going, and one good thing about New Paltz Way is they were anxious to get going a month and a half ago. But you want to know something? One thing they did do is knowing coming to the IDA, we had it set out, you can't start until we go through the process, and they stayed right on track with it. They were very good. So, going to be a great partner. Let's see here. Status pending. Thank you, Chris. Okay, so new business. We're going to go to the, okay, Hillary, I'm going to let you put this out. Hillary goes up to the annual convention up here every year, up in the 11th, Stockton. It's a tremendous networking tool for her. Chris, the Hodgkin Russ is actually a platinum sponsor up there. They, very involved up there, and Hillary has the opportunity to network with a lot of different IDA executive directors and CEOs and CFOs. So, but go ahead.
Yeah, so it's a great event. I've learned a lot going to the events that the New York State Economic Development Council puts on. They've announced the dates, and it fills up quite fast. So because it's over our procurement amount, I wanted to bring it to the board. Even though registration's not open, I don't have the exact amount. Last year it sat, the conference itself was, I think, around 480 plus, lodging. So not having an exact amount. However, I wanted to bring
Motion
it.
that we, in
Yeah.
policy, you want me to go to that, and whatever the cost turns out to be, that's, we approve it.
Okay, that way I can get on it as soon as it's
Can
open.
we put that in the budget so that it's not?
It's tough. It changes. It's like rolling. We could give,
You could put
a
in
guesstimated amount,
$2,000,
correct.
it's less than
That's all.
$2,000.
if it exceeds 2,000, whatever we've received, right?
Okay.
We always need this in the budget.
And one of the reasons that we want to get out in front of it this year is because Hillary had to take a bus, a airplane, 6 other different things to get to the event, because everything books up so quick. She's way off the footprint.
To the other side.
So,
It's already sold out?
So if we put, if we put money in the budget and call it professional training, and we allocate $3,000 for it, and if it's not spent,
Yeah, there we
then,
go.
rolls
Yeah.
over to the next
All right.
year.
yeah.
So I move that
To add to the budget?
to add to the budget, professional training, yeah, for next year, professional training.
Yeah, we can have it, sure.
And then we can accept it through.
So I move that we add a professional training fee of $3,000 for professional training for staff as needed for
Second.
next year's budget.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
But
The
you didn't
date
get
of
around
your
to my
event
motion.
is our main
No
meeting.
second.
I know,
That's, that,
I just figured I'd be best.
yeah, we got it, let's get a motion on this year. Steve has a motion out to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, great,
Okay, good.
all right.
Copy we have.
Yes, let's go to the, lease purchase.
All right, so I hope everyone saw our beautifully printed documents this month, and the one page that we made a mistake on was done off of our regular copier, which was your UCIDA Finance Committee, so you can see the difference in quality. We are currently spending around $400 to $500 a month to copy materials. So this would be a cost savings to the IDA. I did call around Ulster County and could not find a local company that does copier rentals or copier purchases at this level. So they're out of Newburgh, and they're the surrounding area, yeah. So if you look, we have in this, without reading through the whole thing, we have several options. One is to lease and one is to purchase. The one that I would recommend would be the one on page 154. This is kind of the middle one. It has some added features that would help us with printing meeting materials, which would be a big benefit to us. And that to me is $172 a month. Again, a significant savings from what we're paying now.
What was the purchase on?
And the purchase of that would be $5,724 with a monthly fee of $78. So the monthly fee includes your toner, and all your service. So if we lease, the toner is included in that monthly fee. If we purchase, we pay an additional $58 a month, to maintain it and to service it. I did the math over 5 years, and we would save $1,400 by purchasing. The purchase.
So you know what?
I'm gonna tell you why.
And I'm gonna tell you why, because I gotta tell you something. My IT department, I got a brand new printer, okay, not too long ago, and within 11 months, and I said to them, okay, you guys gotta fix this, and they went, yeah, throw that one away, and we're gonna send the next one up tomorrow. So everything changes so rapidly. So once you purchase this, you may be inheriting, yeah.
It's better to lease, cause, and they fix it,
The
the
maintenance.
jam, da-da-da, and the technology
I
changes.
agree.
Oh, I
We're on
agree.
board with that.
Hey,
The
motion.
only nice thing about the purchasing is that they go through New York State procurement, so we get a really good deal if we wanted to purchase. But I feel like the leasing is better off leasing.
Okay, so let's,
Lease the copier.
All right, great. Second.
all in favor?
Aye. Woo. Thank you guys.
Okay. All right, perfect. Okay, motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do, Michelle. Yep, okay, let's be, I only got the finance. Okay, let's call to order the UCCRC, okay? And I apologize because I failed to read the mission statement of the UCIDA at the time because we were kind of moving people along here. So, quick roll call, Michael Ham, present, Rachel Silverman, Stephen Kelly, present, Joseph Ferrero's absent with notice, Trevor Kerwin, present, Randall Leverett, and Costi Wallet is absent with notice. In front of you, you have the February 19th, 2025 regular meeting minutes on page 3. Accept the motion to accept the move. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Public comment, none. None that I know of. Hold on. Executive session, none necessary. Before I read the chair's report, I'd like to do the mission statement of Ulster County Capital Resource Corporation is to promote community and economic development in Ulster County in ways that complement the work of Ulster County, primarily through issuing and selling bonds for nonprofit institutions. The chair's report, let the chair's report from the UCIDA reflect the chair's report of the UCCRC. With that, how come you're not on
I
that?
don't know. You know, it sometimes getting this to fit on one page, we fall apart, and I might have accidentally.
Okay, well, before I get into the before I get to the ED's report, I would like to go out of sync here and bring Woodland Pond up first, okay? And into new business, so we'll go through the bond resolution, the seeker. Okay,
I move that we move new business prior to the chair's report or after the chair's report to accommodate our guests.
Perfect.
Move this closer to the middle, so I'm like,
Good morning. Yeah, thanks for coming, Michelle.
So I can take it away if you want.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay, so secret resolution needs to be considered first. The IDA needs to, the CRC rather needs to make a secret determination before authorizing the issuance of the bonds. In this case, Village of New Paltz Planning Board already looked at this from a secret perspective. Declared an unlisted action and also issued a negative declaration on January 21st, 2025, which in essence says the project will not have significant effect on the environment. That's considered the CRC. CRC is just piggybacking off of that determination by the planning board and determines that the issuer has no basis to suggest that the planning board is incorrect in their determination. So,
Motion, we accept the speaker resolution.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Chris?
very good. So the final resolution is the bond resolution, and this authorizes the issuance of the bonds by the CRC to finance the project. We've already held the public hearing, we sent the notices to tax jurisdictions, all that good stuff, in favor of publication as well. So this authorizes the issuance of the bonds, CRC entering the various documents in connection with the issuance of both bonds.
I move the bond resolution.
Yeah, you want to do a little? Yeah. Yeah, Michelle, you want to give us a quick rundown here?
Sure. So, we are, Little Pond is embarking on, two things. Being between 16 years old, full with waiting lists. We are looking to renovate the big spaces at the campus. And, also endeavoring to look at opportunities for expansion of our independent living units. So the financing that we're asking for now, is very likely the first of two. We will be coming to board with next, would be probably in 2028, will be much more significant. Of the $23 million that we intend to finance through this financing, roughly $10 million will go towards hard and soft costs related to the on-campus renovation, and the balance will be for soft costs, land acquisition, and due diligence on potential expansion. So, in describing the cost for the on-site, there's roughly $2 million of issuance costs and debt service reserve funds, and then the rest goes into furniture, fixtures, and equipment, direct construction, and construction oversight, which does include a bank monitor. These will be done primarily through our existing bondholders are the interested buyers of the bonds, but we will be doing a full, review of the market. So if there's any new bondholders that want something split, we'll then market that. We are looking at acquiring property in New Paltz. We are currently in land options with two landowners presently within the village. That those land options allow us access to those properties, allow us to be able to do certain amounts of testing, engineering, studies, those kinds of things with significant wetlands issues in New Paltz, as a lot of you probably know, and the wetland laws have changed as of January. So we're working with TPC to understand if the properties that we have in mind, with our ideal location-wise, will allow us some density that we need to make this work financially. But
We're very well poised. We really don't have any competition in the area. As I said, we have extensive waiting lists. Right now, we have almost 70-unit waiting list for independent living. And that's without doing any active marketing. That's just all resident referral. So, you know, we'd like to capitalize on that. I know that our FTEs and stuff into you. You know, we find this outperforms the original projections by exponents in terms of job creation. The original application many years ago was for 126 FTEs. We typically run a 210 now. We employ 300 people, and we're a first employer for many. And you know, we're proud of what we're doing. So we're excited to get this moving and keep moving our mission forward.
Yeah, it's a great project. It's a great benefit to the county, you know, and surrounding areas. So, and I know Steve is a great big fan. You know, having your dad stayed there, right? He was there, right? Randall, you worked closely with him. Did I?
No,
Yeah.
no, but I was.
Nope. All good. Yeah. Michelle, thank you for that. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
So we accept the bond resolution for Woodland Pond.
There's the motion. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Okay, fantastic.
We could have stretched it out a little longer.
I got stuff to do. I do appreciate you all. First, I'll be in touch about next steps.
Yes.
And hope you all have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
So much. Yeah, everyone. Take care.
Okay, at this time, I'll enter into a motion for adjournment. Oh, I did go out of order. I'm sorry, I got the backward. Okay, anyway, at this time, let's go back to the original agenda. We'll hear from the executive director before this one.
Report here that the report to the executive director's reports to the UCIDA, and with that,
Man,
Matt and I will move into annual report.
there you go.
Well, it's different. But we will, it's only got one project on, 2 projects on, so it'll be much briefer, right? Matt, it's gonna make it briefer.
Yeah, a lot of the information is the same other than with the projects.
Yeah, so the information, the information mirrors that of the IDA. And then
Should be just the project there.
so we'll move to the project,
No.
no. Okay. Yeah, no, it's 26, page 20 of the, report. So, as you know, we have 2 projects through the CRC. One is Romeo Enterprises, so they currently do not really have an outstanding bond, but they said they did receive mortgage supporting assistance from us. We continue to report on that.
They are not for profit?
No, they are not. That, Mike will give you a whole rundown.
I will give you a rundown. I will give you a rundown later on after we adjourn this meeting, and I'll make it real easy and painless on you.
Okay.
Continue.
Yeah. So we did do a mortgage. So anyway,
It does.
we will continue to report this project through 2027, and then the other project receiving assistance through the UCCRC is the Woodland Pond project. And they, again, reported on time, and there was nothing significant to note of their.
Question.
Yeah.
And I know you're gonna explain this later, but I'm just, it says the bond amount is $1 with Romeo.
It was a small one.
It was a small one.
Why didn't you just give him $1?
We gave him mortgage reporting tab. So, and Mike will be more than happy to fill everyone in on the details of that, but.
Right.
But like.
Motion to approve.
Well, we have two more pieces of the report. So we also have our mission and goals measurement report. Again, you can look On page 29, it gives you some numbers, the job numbers, the capital investment made by the county. Most of that is through the Woodland Pond project. And that, you know, we had no new construction jobs. However, there was a total of 42 FTE jobs that were created through the CRC. And then moving to the next page, we have our operations and accomplishments. Again, we have some of our financial highlights here that were pulled from our audit. Our corporate highlights, again, mirror those of the, what's it called? The IDA. And then I'll move back to Matt for procurement.
Alright, so once again, any purchases over a certain amount, you guys would do it on your security report.
We jumped ahead.
So for the CRC is a very short list. It's BSC for accounting services and then shared services with UCIDA.
Now, you can get a motion to accept. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, we need committee reports. So Steve, the audit?
Yeah. So, we want to accept the motion from the audit committee. As presented on the last meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Finance.
Finance? Rachel?
Get a motion to accept the previously presented investment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay, thank you, Rachel. Okay, governance, this time there's no report. Old business, is there any old business?
Motion to adjourn.
New business? We did new business, motion for adjournment. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
It was in there.